Hi everyone, this is Kim Smith with The Closing Company. Have you ever wondered to yourself, how can I get fined $11,000? The answer's today on Dire Warnings. So today we're going to discuss the lead-based paint disclosure, and there have been some changes recently that you need to be aware of. I'm going to share my screen with you now. So this is the lead-based paint disclosure, and as you know, this is required for all properties built prior to 1978. Well, there's been a change recently, and now the lead-based paint disclosure needs to be signed by the seller prior to the contract being written. The best practice now is to go ahead and have this signed when you get the listing agreement signed, and you can post both of them on your MLS so that the buyer's agent will have the documents available to them and the buyers can review it and sign it, and it can be all signed at the point of binding agreement. You can see right here, this exhibit must be signed by the seller and the buyer, and buyer provided with a copy of the lead-based paint brochure prior to the buyer and seller entering into a binding agreement. This agreement must be filled out for all housing built prior to 1978. So that's the major change. Now there's some other ones too that you want to be aware of. First of all, don't miss on number 2 that the seller needs to put their initials there, and there needs to be a check mark next to A and next to B, depending on whether or not there are lead-based paint hazards in the home. Then on number 3, here's another change. The buyer, this is no longer check marks anymore. So the buyer will initial next to A if they have any copies of information regarding lead-based paint hazards in the home. And they are going to initial B always, that they have read and understand the lead warning statement and have received the pamphlet, Protect Your Family from Lead in the Home. And they're going to initial by C, either received a 10-day opportunity to conduct a risk assessment or waived the opportunity to conduct a risk assessment. Now, number 4 should be the listing agent initials there, and at the bottom, there's a place for everyone to sign and date, and as we said before, this needs to be signed and dated by the seller prior to a binding agreement being entered into and provided to the buyer prior to a contract. This form is the one that I most frequently see mistakes on, and now mistakes are going to cost $11,000 per instance. And by the way, that's not just $11,000 if it's the other broker has made a mistake. They will charge each broker $11,000 for each mistake on the contract. So that is your dire warning for today. If you're worried about compliance, The Closing Company has you covered. Thanks for joining me, Kim Smith, for Dire Warnings.